Welcome back to Pathfinders, a hiking podcast with Brian. I'm your host, Brian Hudson, and today we're digging into strategies for staying motivated on long trails. I'm thrilled to be joined by Susan Wilson. Thanks for being here. To kick us off, let's define our terms. When people hear long trail, they might picture months on the Appalachian or the PCT, but for many hikers, a long day can be 6, 8, or 12 hours on mixed terrain. How do you define a long trail in a way that helps hikers of different backgrounds? And how can we normalize the inevitable motivation dips that show up along the way?
Great question. I frame a long trail less by notoriety and more by sustained time on feet and decision-making. For a new hiker, 3 to 5 hours with meaningful elevation, variable footing, and limited bailout points counts as long. For experienced hikers, it might be a full day, back-to-back days, or any route where fueling, pacing, and mindset matter as much as fitness. The second piece is normalization. Motivation on long efforts is a wave, not a switch. Expect dips at transitions, first big climb, post-lunch sluggishness, late-day shadows, and after-fall summits. Naming that pattern ahead of time reduces surprise. When it arrives, you don't panic. You apply your plan, adjust pace, snack, reframe the goal, and get curious, not judgmental.
That framing makes the experience feel manageable and human. I like the image of motivation as a wave you ride with tools rather than a switch you blame yourself for flipping off. Let's build that toolkit, starting with goals and purpose, so progress has more than one way to count. When you coach hikers to set purpose and ABC goals for a long day, how do you structure those without creating pressure? What does an A goal look like compared to a B or C, and how do they guide decisions?
I start with a why statement you can say while walking. Today I'm here to explore my endurance and enjoy ridge views. Then we layer ABC. A is the ideal, specific but flexible. Complete the planned loop by dusk feeling strong. B is a meaningful partial. Reach the high point and exit via the spur if time or weather shifts. C protects learning and safety. Hike 4 focused hours practicing pacing, then head back. I also add decision rules tied to conditions, not ego. If wind exceeds X, or if I miss the turnaround time, I pivot to B or C. Having 3 definitions of success turns adjustments into intelligent choices, not failures.
That's empowering because it reframes good judgment as part of the win. Listeners, you can literally write those ABC statements on your map margin. When the headwind or time crunch appears, you already practiced the pivot. All right, let's talk about carving the route into segments. How do you like to break a long route into clear segments? And beyond distance, what micro goals or time blocks help hikers manage focus, especially across changing terrain where a mile on scree is not the same as a mile in forest?
I use terrain, landmarks, and effort zones. A segment might be trailhead to creek crossing, creek to saddle, saddle to summit. Each segment gets a primary focus: protect feet through roots, steady breathing on the climb, or efficient descent. Time blocks work well: 25 to 40 minutes of steady movement, 2 to 5 minutes for a reset. Micro goals are context-specific: reach the next patch of shade, clear the boulder field. On technical ground, switch to time or vertical gain, not miles. I pre-identify 3 decision points to check weather and time. It keeps progress visible and choices calmer because you're evaluating inside a structure, not in the fog of fatigue.
Love that note about using vertical or time when the tread throws curveballs. I've seen hikers bail mentally because miles slow on talus, when in fact they're right on plan for elevation and safety. Speaking of plans, pacing can make or break morale before lunch even hits. How do you teach a sustainable pacing plan? In particular, what does the talk test or an RPE of 3 to 4 feel like on the trail? And how can hikers avoid burning too many matches in the first hour?
A sustainable pace is conversational breathing with short sentences available. If you can say, "This grade is steady, but I'm good," without gasping, you're near RPE 3 to 4. Early in the day, enforce a slower pace. Start 10% slower than feels natural for the first 30 to 45 minutes. Use pole rhythm to prevent surging and separate ego from warm-up. I also like terrain cues. Hike flats at quick, light steps, shorten stride on climbs, and keep cadence steady over chasing speed. The day is long. Burning all your energy early steals options later. Finishing the last hour strong builds more confidence than winning the first mile.
That governor concept resonates. The hikers who float past in the first 30 minutes often end up staring at their shoes by noon, while the even pacers are still smiling. All right, let's fuel that even pace with a plan that keeps mood and energy steady. What's your simple, repeatable fueling and hydration template for long days? Can you translate 30 to 60 grams of carbs per hour and steady sip hydration into real trail food, electrolytes, and a watch-based routine hikers can actually follow?
Think of it as a conveyor belt. Every 30 minutes, take in 30 to 40 grams of carbs, half a bar, 2 chew packs, a small jam wrap, or a banana and pretzels. Sip consistently. Aim to finish 500 to 750 milliliters per hour adjusted for heat, using electrolyte tabs or powder with 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium. Set a watch alarm every 30 minutes so you don't rely on memory. Keep front pockets stocked and rotate flavors to avoid palate fatigue. If your mood dips, check calves and bottle. Low carbs or low sodium are common culprits. Get ahead of thirst and hunger. They lag behind your needs.
Such a practical system. I've watched that 30-minute alarm turn distracted grazers into consistent engines, and the mood stabilization is real. Listeners, pack variety and put the food where your hands can find it. Now, when the body complains, movement variety can change the entire hiking experience. What are your favorite on-trail adjustments to reset aches and maintain momentum? I'm thinking cadence shifts, using poles more effectively, and tiny mobility drills that don't require stopping for 5 minutes, but still refresh the system and headspace.
I like 3 levers. First, cadence. On flats, increase steps per minute for 2 minutes while shortening stride. It unloads joints and wakes the nervous system. Second, poles. Plant slightly behind your lead foot on climbs to drive hips forward, and on descents, widen stance and plant poles a touch earlier for stability. Third, micromobility. Every 30 to 60 minutes, calf pumps, ankle circles, 10-second quad and hip flexor stretch each side while standing, scapular retractions with the pack on. Add a 30-second posture check, ribs down, shoulders back, eyes up to open breathing. These are less about stopping pain and more about redistributing load so joints and tissues share the work. Variety preserves momentum and attention.
The phrase redistributing load is gold. When your attention shifts from the ache to doing something skillful, you feel capable again. Let's add some headspace skills. I want to hear your go-tos for self-talk scripts, mantras, quick visualization, and those 60-second sensory resets. Give us the mental toolkit. What does positive self-talk sound like when it's not cheesy? What mantra actually sticks? How do you visualize at key waypoints? And how do halt checks help diagnose a slump without piling on judgment?
Keep language concrete and actionable. Self-talk scripts I like. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Fuel fixes fatigue, and one landmark at a time. Pick one that cues behavior. A mantra should be short and rhythmic. Something like strong and steady, matched to your steps. Visualization is a 20 to 40 second mental rehearsal at waypoints. Picture the next segment, see your foot placements, feel your breathing syncing with poles. Sensory resets use breath and attention. Box breathing 4-4-4-4, or name 5 things you see, 4 you hear, 3 you feel. Halt is a friendly diagnostic. Ask, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? If yes, treat the cause. Eat, vent, say hello to another hiker, or take a 2-minute reset without moralizing.
I appreciate the non-judgmental tone there. Treat the cause. Don't critique the hiker. The sensory list is simple enough to do while walking, and the visual rehearsal primes good footwork. Let's wrap in some fun next, gamifying progress and being intentional about audio. How do you gamify progress without losing awareness? And when should hikers lean on music or podcasts versus choosing silence? Also, what are some group strategies, buddy systems, leapfrogging, shared check-ins, roles that lift everyone's energy and accountability?
Gamification works when it aligns with safety. Create next landmark challenges. Reach the ridge in 12 minutes at easy effort, or find 3 trail details to photograph without pushing speed on exposed terrain. For audio, use it like a spice. Music or podcasts can lift a sloggy forest road, but kill the audio near wildlife, blind corners, or busy junctions so you can hear and communicate. Silence is a performance tool too. It amplifies breath rhythm and technical footwork. In groups, pair into buddies with roles. One tracks time and fueling, another navigates. Leapfrog positions every hour to share wind exposure and morale duties. Do brief check-ins, green, yellow, red, so the quiet person gets heard.
Calling silence a performance tool is such a shift. And I love the color check-in. Fast, clear, and inclusive. Now let's head off morale killers before they spiral. Foot care, hotspots, chafe protocols, and smart layering can keep small issues from stealing the day. What's your proactive package for feet and skin, plus clothing choices that stay dry and warm without overheating? And mentally, how do you prepare hikers for false summits, wind, and rain, while keeping morale tools like a surprise warm drink handy?
Feet first, sock change every 3 to 4 hours, lube or powder based on your skin type, and tape hotspots immediately. Don't negotiate. Carry a mini kit, tape, scissors, alcohol wipes, a needle, and a dab of antibiotic ointment. For chafe, apply before it hurts and reapply at lunch. Layering is about dry next to skin, breathable mid, and wind or rain shell you can vent. Start slightly cool to avoid sweat soak and manage zips and hoods early. Mentally, brief the team on false summits and wind exposure so they're expected features, not surprises. A small stove, insulated bottle, or a thermos with broth can flip mood fast. Warmth is both calorie and comfort.
Pro tips all around, and I can vouch for the morale boost of a hot, salty sip when weather turns. As we near the finish, let's talk about tracking visible progress, logging micro-wins, and recovery habits that reset mind and body for multi-day sections. What tools help hikers confirm progress? Map, altimeter, voice notes, and how should they recover in camp between days? Can we also close with safety and leave no trace, and your one actionable tip listeners can automate on their very next hike?
Make progress visible. Confirm location at each segment end with map and altimeter GPS and say it aloud. Creek crossing, 4.2 miles, 1,800 vertical so far. Snap a photo or record a 20-second voice note. Those micro wins build momentum for tomorrow. In camp, keep recovery simple. Change into dry layers, sip a warm electrolyte, eat carbs and protein within 45 minutes, do 3 minutes of gentle mobility, elevate feet, and jot tomorrow's ABC and decision points. Safety and leave no trace are part of motivation. Finish well. Stay on durable surfaces, manage spacing, respect wildlife, and turn back when conditions dictate. Actionable tip, the 30-30-30 reset. Every 30 minutes, eat about 30 grams of carbs, set one micro goal to the next landmark, and spend 30 seconds checking posture and pole technique with a watch alarm.
That's the blueprint right there. The beauty of the 30-30-30 reset is how it bundles fuel, focus, and form into one habit loop you don't have to think about. Listeners, set that alarm, pick your micro goal, and let posture breathe new life into each segment. That's our time for today on Pathfinders. We set a clear definition for long trails and normalized motivation dips as a natural wave. We built a planning stack, purpose plus ABC goals, route segments tied to landmarks and time blocks, and a sustainable pacing plan anchored to the talk test. We dialed in fueling and hydration you can execute, added movement variety to distribute load, and practiced mental tools, self-talk, mantras, quick visualization, and sensory resets with HALT as a friendly diagnostic. We gamified progress without losing awareness, used audio intentionally, and harnessed social energy with buddy rolls and color check-ins. We protected morale with proactive foot care, chafe protocols, smart layering, and weather prep. And we tracked visible progress and simple camp routines to reset for multi-day sections. We wrapped with the 30-30-30 reset you can automate on your very next hike. If this added value to your trail time, share the episode with a hiking partner, subscribe, please, and leave a rating so others find us. I'm Brian Hudson. Until next time, move smart, stay curious, and finish well.